Okay, let's start slowly. Hopefully, others will join. So, uh, okay, so let's make sure that we connect from the last lecture. Okay, the last time what we were discussing. Okay, so can somebody tell me what was the main idea to start off with? What is BI? We said there are two main parts to it. What was the two main parts? Yes.
Analytical.
Okay. So it is it's fine. It's okay if you don't remember. That's why I always repeat. Okay, to make sure that you do not miss the most important part. Right? Yes.
Is it the digital cockpits and dashboards?
That is details. Right. So the first thing we started off with the BI itself. What it is. That was the question. I said it has two major parts. You need to always remember these two major parts, and don't worry, I'll keep repeating. And inshallah, after a couple of weeks, you will start to remember all those things. Okay. The first part is the data. You know, how am I going to store and manage and organize my data? And the second part is how am I going to use this data to make better decision, right? So please try to remember these two chunks. And inshallah, next class I will ask you the same question again, just to make sure that you get hold of this most fundamental thing. You know, keeping your data, organizing your data, summarizing your data, organized in a nice way, right? And then the second part is, in this course is, how am I going to use this data, right? Remember these two parts. Manage the data, use the data, right? So this is the whole course is divided into these two major things. Okay, and after discussing that, discussing this basic thing, then we said that business intelligence is eventually helping you make better decisions which are rooted in data. Right? This is what we said. But we also said that these systems are not as simple, which means that companies have to decide, they have to spend money. So what is forcing companies to make the change? So we did talk about things like business environment. You know, competition is happening, and certain opportunities have been created, certain threats have arisen, right? So we talked about that, why companies are now forced to go towards business intelligence, which again is what? Using data to do business better, right? To make better decisions, right? So this is the second thing we discussed. We went into details of a lot of factors, and another thing that we discussed here is that BI. I told you it starts from collecting and managing the data to taking the decision. So there are some softwares which claim themselves to be BI softwares, like Power BI.
But it's not effective.
It can be okay for small scope,
Yes.
but you cannot say that, oh, this is good for everyone.
Yes.
Majority of the time, it doesn't work like this. Majority of the time, you have to create your own BI, which means what? Your own way of storing and managing the data. Yeah, and your own way of using the data, which means that even you may have, in terms of use, you may have several different systems working in different parts of data use. Okay, so in that sense, we said that BI is just an umbrella term which combines different tools, databases, analytical tools, and many other things. So this is another thing that we discussed, that BI can be not just one system, but it could be a combination of different tools and systems. Okay, and then eventually this is the use to convert data to information to decisions and to action. This is another thing we discussed in the last class, and then we said that, so keeping that in mind, BI looks something like this, you know, the whole architecture. So and by the way, behind BI are always some data sources, which can be Excel files, which can be databases, right? And then You take this data, and what is the first step I told you? BI starts at two major parts. What is the first part? We just said that
They're storing the data and using the data.
not just storing, managing and organizing the data, even better. Okay? Storing is of course part of it. When you organize and you manage, you have to store it somewhere, right? So this is the first step. If you read the words here, what does it say? Organize, summarize, standardize. It means that the data might already be there in the company. It could be in certain kind of a databases, but then those are not in the form that you need in which will be helpful for you to make decisions. Okay, so that you have to convert this data into the form that you need. So you take those data sources, and that first part is data warehousing, which you already have touched in DBMS2, I guess. So we will talk a little bit more about this step more. Okay. And then we have this analytics that we have been talking about, the use of data, right? Which means that you access data warehouse, you manipulate, you analyze, you take results, and then your implementation of your decisions. Okay, so this is again something we discussed last time. So let us just continue from there, and let us start talking about your role. One of your major roles when it comes to BI, in fact, there are different roles you can identify. One of them is the users of BI, meaning that you might be using those decision tools. So you take the data, you analyze the data, and you take the decision, right? That could be one role. Another role could be you might be managing the data warehouse, right? So you might having more like an MIS 309 kind of a role, right? Technical role. But then there is a third role, which is creating the systems. You might be the person leading the projects or initiatives to create BI. And here I will not spend a lot of time, but I'll keep doing that to make connections with the other courses that you have taken before. So one of the courses you have taken maybe last year or something, it's called System Analysis and Design. Do you remember that course? What is the purpose of that course?
to learn how to design a system, and
right. Yeah.
Okay.
You want to add as well?
Yeah, sorry.
You want to add to that as well?
Yeah, you make the user involved when developing.
Okay, so designing system, considering users.
The system analysis roles.
Yeah, you analyze the roles, the requirements, right?
Yes.
Now, this slide is nothing but exactly talking about the same thing. When you design a BI system, it is another information systems, right? You have to treat it like that, right? So when you're designing a business intelligence system, you will see the same thing. So you should not get worried. Okay, what is this complicated diagram? It is. Can you see user requirements? Planning, collection, data collection, analysis, and then you keep going back, right? Sometimes
Cycle.
you have to go, in a cycle, right? And go back and design. So it's just saying that you have to follow the process. What process? The process that you have learned in System Analysis and Design course, right? So it is talking about exactly the same thing. So we don't need to go into detail because it's just repetition of what you do in System Analysis and Design. Just one thing. The word intelligence, you might be wondering where it came from. Intelligence is normally a word associated with the military and those kinds of things. So why they picked this word intelligence? Because in intelligence, what you do is you try to collect through ethically and legally. You try to glean or collect data from different sources, and this is what intelligence means. So you do the same in business intelligence. You collect the data from your customers, from your business environment, from stakeholders, from business processes, from your competitors. And the idea is that you want to potentially collect all the valuable information. Of course, the information has to be valuable, otherwise what do you do with that information, right? So that is why the term intelligence is used. But I told you in early part of business intelligence, when I was talking about that during the last lecture, people collected a lot of data, but the challenge now is to extract value out of it. Still, companies have been collecting a lot of data, but companies are still not making use of that data. because data is there for a purpose. If it is not giving you my value to me, what should I do with that, right? I should not be spending time on collecting the data, right? So, and this is the whole course, use of data. Half of the course is not just collecting the data, but using the data to make better decisions. Okay. Now, going back to this this diagram here, I said there can be some data sources that normally you need to use to prepare them in the form that you need or you like, right? So we are still making connection to your old courses. So one of the things you must have studied in DBMS 1 or 2 is this online transaction processing systems, right? OLTPs. So do anybody remember what those databases are used for?
It's used for the mobile applications.
No, it is maybe okay. It can be used for this application and that application. The fundamental idea is, whenever a company does a transaction, that transaction record has to go somewhere. Even the minutest, the smallest transaction you do needs to be recorded somewhere. Like if I go to a grocery store and I buy even a small 1 real khubz, they scan it. Where is that record going?
In the database.
So it goes into this kind of a database. It goes into a database, but what do you call that database?
OLTP.
OLTP. Online transaction processing system. Why online? Because it's happening in real time. As soon as I buy, as soon as I scan, it goes into the database, right? And that's why the word transaction. Every transaction is recorded. So that's why ATM machine, you draw 100 reals, even as small amount as that, 50 reals even, it's a transaction. It goes into the database, right? Even e-commerce sites, you buy something, each transaction is recorded. Enterprise resource planning, supply chain, customer relationship, all those basic transactions, they go into OLTP, online transaction processing system. The question is that we are trying to make here is that OLTP is important to us for what? For business intelligence, because they carry the actual data, the raw data, right? But that's why it is so important. But can we use OLTP directly? The answer is no. Because OLTP is designed to save all those small transactions. But am I interested in that one khubz bought, as a planner? I do not need to know who bought that one khubz. What I'm interested in is how many khubz I'm selling each day. Do you understand the difference between the two? So it's the summarization. I need to see it how many items I'm selling per week, or per month, or per year. So the data that I need is in a different form, right? So OLTP is there as a source. And then I will have something called data warehouse, and we'll talk more about that in the next thing. But then I can use that data warehouse to do something called online analytical processing. I think we talked a little about yesterday the cube, right? Do you remember the cube from the last time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the third dimension.
Yeah, the 3-dimensional cube to see different aspects of my summarized data, right? So OLAP is that. So it is referring to the same thing again. And the main difference between their design is, one is there for efficiency, meaning that a lot of people are adding transactions to it, so the design has to be very efficient in terms of that. But the other one, efficiency and speed is not important, but effectiveness. The data I need has to be there, right? Even if it is generating reports a little, so that's fine. So effectiveness is what is important. Okay. Now, because I told you your role is what? I told you 3 roles. One, of course, you can be user, you can be a data warehouse manager, but the third role, we are talking about the third role, which is creator of BI, right? So there are few things you must understand, and you must understand that there's like any other thing, BI is not for free. You have to spend time on it, you have to spend money on it, and at the end of the day, if you take this proposal that I wanted to bring BI in the company, people will ask you questions. And what are those questions? What is the first question that your manager will ask? If you want BI to come here, what is the benefit? Do you all agree, right? Right, so do not forget your business students. I teach a class in Master of Science in Business Analytics, and we teach very sophisticated tools, like in optimization or something. So I asked my students that, okay, will you use this in this situation? And everybody said yes, simply because I'm the one teaching them that tool. But I said, why do you have to use this tool? It's not bringing enough benefits to you for it to merit that spending $80,000. The software was $80,000. So do you think you will produce more than 80,000 by using this tool?
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying? So as a business person, it's not just the technology that you have to use. You have to always look for, you have to justify its success. You have to measure its success. And then you have to compare how much cost am I spending. If you spend 100, you should get at least more than 100. Right? Do you understand that? So, but in order to do that, you have to measure success. And one of the ways to see is that is there any improvement in your decision making? Are all these people, your executives, regular people, are they all using the BI or not? So these are some of the things. Now, when you talk about success and business, there's one more course that you learn, and which is very important when it comes to your role as BI designer, and that course was called strategic management. You remember that?
Yes.
Companies are working to achieve certain goals, and that is why you have something called vision and mission and objectives, and you learn all those things, right? One of the biggest mistakes people do in bringing BI is that they just have their own ideas of BI will do. But it is not aligned with what company wants to go. So please remember, if you have that role, your BI initiative must be aligned with company's business strategy. And how do you know your company's business strategy? So you have to look at what? You have to look at your vision, mission, objectives, and some of those other details. Okay, so make sure you do that. And by the way, these are some of the do you remember anything about KPIs, key performance indicators, in that course? Right. So here are some hints. The KPI must reflect that you're improving certain business processes after doing your business intelligence. If you're not, there's a problem. Have you transformed your decision making? Are you making better decisions after implementing BI? Is there an improvement? Right? So again, these are some of the KPIs that you need to look for. So the BI should be in line with strategy, not an impediment or against it. Okay? So far so good? Is that clear to everyone? Okay. So these are some of the issues you may face during your role as BI implementer. You have to ask questions. Do you want to develop BI in-house, or do you want to acquire BI? What does that mean? Acquiring a software meaning?
Getting or buying.
You're buying an already developed product like Power BI. So you have to check what are the capabilities of Power BI, and one of the big roles is to evaluate those solutions. You see if Power BI, for example, is aligned to your company or not. Is it going to serve what you're trying to do? If not, you may have to take a decision where you might be not acquiring, you might be developing. So development versus acquisition is one thing. Then I already told you that one of the things as a BI planner, you have to do cost benefit analysis, but there is a problem here. Quantifying cost generally turns out to be a much simpler thing.
Yes. What is less cost than the other?
Yeah, it could be one of the strategies, right? So you have. Hello, assalamu alaikum, doctor. I'm in a class now, doctor. I'll come. As soon as I finish, I'll inshallah come to your office. Yeah, maybe like 12:10 or something. All right, doctor. Thank you. It seems your registration issues are still not settled. Maybe for you it's okay, but for the others it's still going on. Okay. Okay.
No, I'm asking what is less cost?
The development or the acquisition?
Yes.
It is not an easy question because you do not look at the cost alone. You do not look at the cost alone. Look, let me ask you a question. If my cost is this much and my benefit is this much, but my cost is this much but my benefit is this much, which one will you pick?
The second one.
You understand? So it's not just the cost alone. You have to see the net gain, right? Sometimes you're spending more, but the gain you get is far more than, with the solution that you're able to buy in less cost. Yes.
What's the thing that acquiring an existing like Power AI they cannot do?
Yeah, acquiring simply means as they call off-the-shelf products, meaning that just like Power BI is a software.
Yeah, I know, but I think it can do everything. So what's the thing that you cannot do?
The answer is no. Power BI cannot do everything. Power BI can do certain things, but Power BI cannot do everything. There are softwares like Alteryx. Yes, Alteryx can do many things, but Alteryx cannot do everything. There are Tableau. Yes, Tableau can do many things, but Tableau cannot do everything. So many times, even what companies do is sometimes they do part of it on Alteryx, they do on Power BI. You understand that?
Yeah.
Or sometimes even after buying Alteryx plus Tableau, they even sometimes have to create their own solution because it's not available anywhere. You understand that? So these softwares are trying their best to become more and more and more powerful and more trying to cover everything. But the thing is that every company, there is always some unique situations which cannot be covered by the software, right? So the answer is no, Power BI cannot do everything, or Alteryx cannot do everything, or Tableau cannot do everything. So sometimes that is why, like Aramco, I know people are using the same office, same people are using both Alteryx and Tableau.
Yeah.
So some part they are doing in Alteryx and some part they are doing in Tableau. Simply because the thing that they wanted to do,
Different tasks.
yeah, different tasks. So some can be done in a better way in Tableau and some can be done in Alteryx, right? And then for some other thing they are using Python programmers to actually to create their own solutions. That is the problem. So that is why I say developing versus acquiring, and as I said, you have to compare cost and benefit, and that is why we have this line here. You have to justify not just cost but benefits together. But the problem that I'm trying to highlight here is that cost normally is easier to capture. Why? Like I'm looking at Power BI and I can get the price. I don't know what is the price of Power BI, let's say 30,000 riyals, so that is easy to get, right? If I need to maybe find 5 Python programmers for next 6 months to develop a solution, I know what I'm going to pay them, right? Their salary multiplied by 6 months, cost is easy to determine, but what about benefits? You can see that I wanted to improve my decision making. What does that mean? How am I going to convert that into numbers? Do you see the challenge here? Many things you will only be guessing, you can only be predicting, but you cannot show until you actually do it, right? So this is one of the challenges that you face as planners. I don't know why it keeps getting.
You should turn it off from the settings.
Yeah. It's okay for now. Next time I'll just make sure that I have longer time for it. 2 minutes and it's going into sleep mode. Okay. Other things are more technical. And again, as MI students, I think you may have seen it in one of the courses, or you will be seeing in one of the courses. Have you taken web security, data security
No.
course?
Next semester.
Next semester. So we are talking about that, data protection and security. So it is, as a planner, all the things that you will study there in that course is here. What about data integration, application integration? What does that mean?
So you're combining the same hardware and software.
Because if you're using Alteryx and Tableau and your Oracle and all those things together, you know, they need to be connected in a seamless manner, right? They need to have a strong connection between them. So if you're going for multiple softwares, then one of the things you have to plan is what you call integration. You know, how you're going to integrate different systems. Now, I talked about this last time, but I'm going to re-emphasize here. And now, because companies are using BI for last 10-15 years, so one of the things they keep asking about BI, within BI is something called real-time BI. Anybody remember from our discussion from the last time? Google Maps and all those things, right? So previously, BI used to work like this, that after every week or every month, people used to summarize data, and then analysts and decision makers look at. But this is like a long delay, right? And nowadays, people want to know, to become more competitive, they want like real information right now. Why was it not possible before? People don't realize that real time is important. The answer is yes, people know that real time is important even 10 years before. But there were some technical problems which was preventing them to go real time. So what has changed? Few things have changed. Number one, in terms of technology, you have one important keyword is automated and faster data collection. I need to give you a few examples for all of them, okay? When you go to Panda and you buy even a khubz, it's scanned, right?
Yes.
But what about a truck bringing in products to that store? When are they going into your databases? You understand the problem? Somebody has to enter. Now, in many companies like Walmart and some of those more advanced grocery stores and retail stores, what they do is the truck, when it is coming in, they go underneath an RFID sensor, and the RFID sensor knew that which truck is right now entered to deliver, and the data already knows that this truck is carrying what goods. So immediately those goods enter the system. Can you see the difference?
Yes.
Yes.
Like you go to Dubai, you have those car RFID, like toll, same technology, RFID. So just like this, we have something called sensor networks. This morning I dropped my son, he's studying in King Fahd. So now previously we used to get a paper permit to go in and out, like a temporary one.
Yes.
But now they have changed this to sensors, automatic sensors. Now there's no paper, nobody stops us, nobody checks us. So when you go to the gate, there's like a sensor giving green and red, picking up the number plate. Like you go to the airport, the sensor picks up your license plate, and then if you have paid the bill or something, it can check directly, right? Sensors picking up the data, automatically done immediately as it is happening, right?
Also, it counts data. Counts it.
Say again.
Counts.
It can count, it can do whatever. For example, when we were going inside the university, it's checking you in. When we are coming out, even then there is a sensor saying that now this car is going out. So now they have even more rich data of when we entered and when we left. Exactly, not to the minute, to the second.
Like when you enter a stadium, it counts the numbers, right?
It can count the number, it can even tell when you entered and when you left.
Yes.
Right? So it can do exact counting, right? So all those are through automatic sensors. So this is one big technology that is helping making this real-time work. Another one, databases are getting advanced. Telecommunication infrastructure is improving. Now I need to tell you what that means. You all have high-speed internet by now in your homes, right?
Yes.
How much is the speed typically you get if especially you have a fiber connection?
300.
300 maybe, right?
Yes.
In my house, 500 megabit.
Even more.
It's going to now 10 gigabits in some countries.
Okay, even more. But the point I'm trying to make is, in 2000, I think maybe in 2000, 2001, when I was doing masters from King Fahd, university was like a drum beat, big announcement that we have started internet with how much is the speed for the whole university? 2 megabits per second. 2 megabits per second. So just try to
That's
put.
too fast for 2001, actually. Before by
No, but I'm
kilobytes.
trying to tell you the difference.
Yeah.
What can you do with 2 megabits? Now, even at home, you will not survive with 2. Forget about 2, maybe like 10 is too slow because now you're watching online streaming movies and everything, right? But can you see the difference? Infrastructure plays a big part. Now, what I'm trying to tell here is that if you have fast, big capacity infrastructure, you will be able to do a lot more than what you want, right? So 10 years, 15 years back, people want real time, but the infrastructure wasn't there to support it. So they say, okay, we cannot do it. That's why they were doing it on monthly basis and like weekly basis and all those things. Computational power. Every time you have to convert your transactional data into data warehousing form. So you have to process thousands of transactions, process it and put it in database. You need powerful computers. 15 years back, 10 years back, maybe it was very difficult. Now, even PCs are more powerful than some of your advanced workstations and servers, right? So again, because of that, now people are every company is now looking for real-time business intelligence, right? So this is why these things are happening. I think we already talked about that. The issues I mentioned, that you have to acquire versus develop, look for proper justification, security versus integration. These are some of the planning, implementation considered. So the same issues become considerations. Now, again, as in the last lecture, I talked about 2 parts: storing and managing the data, and then using the data. So I did introduce you to use of data concept, but let's try to refresh and go a little deeper into those concepts. Okay. So in terms of use, one major line that I even mentioned today and the other day was data-driven decision making. So the companies these days are trying to run their business using the data. So data-driven business decision making. And one of the things that came to make that work is called analytics. Analytics is the term used nowadays. And we did talk a little bit about descriptive, predictive, and prescriptive analytics. And if you remember, descriptive was about past, predictive is predicting future, and prescriptive is actual decision making. But there are a few more terms you need to learn. One of them is called data science. So sometimes if you're looking for jobs, you search for analytics, and rather than analytics, you will see jobs for data science. So I just need to explain the difference between analytics and data science, and then we'll go further into the area. Now, you are all MIS students, right? There's another field called computer science, which somehow is like close to what you do. What is the difference between the two? What is computer science and what is MIS? Do you know the difference? Yes?
I think the computer science is more in the physical field.
Okay.
Technical field.
Any other views? You?
Yes, MIS is between the management and the technical side, but computer science is deeply in the
Okay, so you're almost right? So if you have to write a very, very, very long, sophisticated computer software, you need a computer science person who has learned very sophisticated data structures in C and C++ and all those codes. But they have a big shortcoming. They don't understand business.
Yes.
They don't even speak business. So you have to have a person who understands what computer science do, And if they cannot do 100% of what computer science can do, they can even actually do technical stuff, maybe like 50% of it. Right? You understand that? And then you need to have a person who understands strategy, who understands finance, who understands planning, who understands management, right? Who can even talk to the management. And so it's like a bridge, like what you said, between management and. So the MIS has both skills, the business skills as well as the technical skills, right? Same can be said about analytics versus data science. Data science is like computer science. If you have to develop algorithms, deep statistics, advanced statistics, you are looking for people in data science. If you're doing business analytics, can you do that? Yes, you can do that. But like I said, if they can do 100, you are still capable of doing at least 50% of that. Okay, but not like really complicated stuff. But you will be able to even manage data scientists because you still understand it. It's just you cannot go that deep in terms of developing the codes, etc. Right? And then you understand the business problem, the business justification and everything. So I hope you understand. This is like MIS, and this is like the computer science people, right?
Mhm.
So, but there is like huge overlap between the two. Okay. Yes.
Which is which? Which one? Which?
This is like computer science,
Oh,
right? This is like highly technical. They don't understand business side. They don't understand management. They don't understand profitability. They don't understand return on investment. Anything that you need from the business perspective. But they will certainly know how to write 5,000 line code and to even develop mathematical algorithms to solve the problem, right? For you may understand what they are doing, but maybe you may do a small algorithm, but not to their level, right? Because they are far deep into it. But then you can take care of the business side of things. Okay. So let's just go a little bit more into what descriptive, predictive, prescriptive analytics can do. So by the way, so all these things, as I said, can be done by data scientists. The only thing is that they will be going much deeper into the things. It's not only data science, but they did not mention a term, but there is something called operations research. So I will tell where OR people are. OR people are still under the radar, so nobody talks about OR, but it will come inshallah into the future. By the way, I'm from OR. That's my area, operations research. So I'll tell where OR is, okay? So descriptive analytics, I think you already understand this. The purpose, what are the tools that you use and what is the outcome? That's how we are reading it, right? What happened and what is happening? Again, you're looking at near past or far past, right? So you're looking at the past. And the tools that you will be using is business reportings, dashboards, scorecards, data warehouse, OLAP, and all those things. So this is what you do in descriptive analytics, and the main idea is to understand the problem, well-defined business problem. It is simply meaning that you understand the problem. You go deep into the data to understand what is going on. Predictive is what? What is the question here?
What will happen?
What will happen?
Why will it happen?
Why will it happen, right? So prediction about future. And by the way, this is half of your course. Data mining, text mining, web mining, forecasting. And eventually what you will get is, you're trying to accurately predict or project, what can happen to your company, right? And then predictive is, what should I do? This thing that you're looking at, simulation, by the way, one of those tools, you'll go deep in MIS 502. It's called clustering analysis. And it is one of the mining techniques, right? In this class, we will cover a lot of them, not deep. But in 502, MIS 502, you'll spend half of the semester just talking about a technique called clustering. Another half in MIS 502, you'll be learning simulation, discrete event simulation, which is prescriptive. So one predictive, one prescriptive. And simulation is one of the tools that you will learn there. Another very important area that is not covered much in your MIS program is called optimization. you may have touched very, very, very briefly in Math 308. Do you remember anything about linear programming?
Yes.
Maybe you just have seen it as some math that you don't have any idea why you're learning about that. But this is the area, this is the future. Optimization is the future to come, and this is where I said OR. OR is done by very few companies these days, like Aramco and Sabic. But eventually, all other companies will have to catch up, and this area is actually called optimization. What do you get? You get like best possible solutions, best possible decisions, and this is basically, this is the key to getting the best possible solutions. Okay, now the book has a lot of case studies. I don't want to take you into case studies because case studies themselves are not important, but what we are trying to show that what companies are able to achieve is important. One of the things that you can use analytics and you can achieve is to eliminate inefficiencies, which means that reduce wastages, which means that reduce cost, right? Reduce time, improve performance. So this is a lot happening these days in companies by eliminating inefficiencies. Analysis at the speed of thought, what does that mean? We just use a term called real-time BI, right? Real-time BI meaning that I do my analysis as things are happening, right? So this is exactly what it means. Many companies have started to do that. They have started to do real-time, not just BI, but real-time decision making, meaning that immediately as situation changes, the system will help you take the new decision based on the latest situation. Yes, and analytics, by the way, is used nowadays in very unexpected places that you might not think. For example, one of the areas that analytics is used heavily is in sports, not just business. So a football game being played is no more a very experienced coach or a manager. These coaches and managers have their laptops. Have you seen them sitting on laptops working during the match? They are doing analytics to make strategies. Data. They are looking at the team data into what he does, what are strengths, weaknesses, and all those things, insights into the data, and then they plan according to it. So sports analytics. Even injuries. Sports injury is now heavily driven by analytics. I can give you one example. I think you all mostly like football here, but in Pakistan we like a lot of a game called cricket. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yes.
It looks like a baseball, but it has nothing to do with baseball. Okay, so very different than baseball. But one of the things in terms of injuries is that in cricket there are two roles. You may have seen people like batting, and the other one is like bowling, throwing the ball. It's not throwing actually, bowling is different. But there's a category of bowlers called fast bowlers. So they have to deliver the ball at very fast speeds. How fast? The fastest bowler world record is 100 miles. So just by hand. So you can imagine the stress on the body. So fast bowlers, who typically the fastest bowler, they bowl in 90 miles or 150 kilometers an hour, more than that. They face a lot of injury problems. They have stress fracture. They call it stress fracture, is very common. Their spine, because of stress, they have fractures. So one of the things that is really helping is the analytics in industry. They put a lot of sensors on the body, and then they see why one bowler is not getting any stress fracture and why another bowler is repeatedly getting stress fracture. So they are able to see small things, differences, even as small as like how people are landing their foot. Is it because the foot is going in this angle, or is it because of that? Maybe going like this versus going like this will increase pressure on your spine, right? So I'm just telling you how sophisticated this analytics is helping you. So they see that anybody who lands like foot straight is resulting in the sensors are telling that the stress in your back is less, right? So all those things are happening using analytics. So there are some, by the way, universities. If you're interested in sports, you can get a degree in sports analytics. Come back and join your favorite club here. So it is a job. I'm sure you'll know. There's nobody doing sports analytics here, so you'll get a lot of inshallah good salaries here with sports analytics. You can even start a company in sports analytics. Okay. One more thing, and then we can stop for today. There's something called big data. As you increase your capacity, like I told you, from 2 Mbps to 200, even 500 Mbps, and even gigabits and all those things, we are facing another problem. Companies are facing another problem. So, and this problem occurs because of a simple phenomenon. If you make a road one lane, how much traffic you have? You have certain traffic, right? You say, okay, one lane is not enough, so government says, let's make it 2 lanes. What happens then? Is that then, would that solve the problem?
Not really.
Because people will see that there are 2 lanes, so more traffic will start to come, right? And then you say, let's make it 3 lane, and then the 3 lane fills up, and then you make it 4 lanes, and then those 4 lanes will eventually fill up. You understand that? So you had 2 Mbps and you were using emails, but now you with 200, 300, 400, 500 Mbps. Now everybody is having a separate screen in the house, and maybe everybody is like streaming and everything, right? So the problem with capacity is that as you increase your strength, you try to make more use for that, right? So the capacity always goes out. So one of the things that is happening in business intelligence with analytics is that as your ability to collect more data and analyze more data is increasing, you are collecting even more data, right? And which means that you cannot just endlessly increase the road size. You cannot just have 50 lanes and 200 lanes and 500 lanes. There is always a limit to it, right? You still have to now look for, rather than increasing the capacity, you have to change your ways, you have to manage things in a different way. So one of the fields, and this will be the last chapter for the course that we will talk about, is called big data analytics. This is the field where if the data becomes too big, how am I going to manage that? So we are, a lot of jobs are only happening where people are hiring people who works in big data. So you will have a specialized person saying that I need a person who is specialized in big data. How am I going to handle 1 terabyte or petabyte or even bigger data? But it's not just the volume, the size. We are facing other problems as well when it comes to data. So big data is not just big. It's not just the volume. The other thing that we are facing is called variety. Variety meaning that regarding my problem, about my customer, it's no more just the name and the address. It is about so many of their characteristics. Like in big database, you have attributes. Previously, you are collecting 2 attributes. Now you have the capacity, so you started collecting 3. Now you're starting to collect 4, 5, 10, 15, 20, so many attributes. Variety. Then another another issue with big data is velocity is what? Speed. Speed has become a big problem because more than the speed that you're trying to use the data, there's more data being generated. Especially think about social media. If your work involves using social media, you cannot even imagine how fast social media is producing the data for you. If you're working for government and you're trying to see what people are talking about these days. So if you're just looking at tweets, just produced today, and you have done an analysis, by the time you finish and present your analysis to your manager, maybe twice the number of tweets are new tweets are already there, right? So velocity is a big problem. So big data analytics is all about understanding how to manage your challenges when it comes to volume, variety, and velocity. Okay, so that's it. So this was the introduction to the course, whole course. Okay, so chapter 1 was just introducing to you to the field. Next, this was the foundation. So next we will go into the first part of business intelligence, which is more like organizing and handling the data, which you already have a background from DBMS2. So again, it might not look too new to you, but then we spend a lot of time on analytics, right? And then towards the end, I think sixth chapter is big data analytics, and then we'll see if we can do chapter 7. Maybe we'll go only up to chapter 6. So most likely it will be 6 or 7 chapters for the course. So maybe like 3 chapters for the midterm, 3 chapters for the final. Okay, and a project most likely will be from here, right? So I'm going to stop here. Do you have any questions, queries? Otherwise we can stop.
Thank you.
Okay, see you inshallah.